Hello everyone, Father Andrew, your pastor at Sacred Heart in Aberdeen, here with you in this second full week of August with some big news in these days of adapting and living with the coronavirus COVID-19. Our Bishop DeGrood, back in March, almost 5 months ago, decided that because of the concerns of the coronavirus, COVID-19, that he would dispense the faithful of the diocese from the Sunday obligation. A lot's happened in those 5 months. Now, in August, with the school year about to start for many, the bishop has decided that as we've learned more about COVID-19 and who it affects and how it affects them, and also as we've observed in the midst of this uncertainty, a growing and rising tendency towards fear amongst the people of God, Bishop is deciding to reapply the Sunday obligation to the faithful in eastern South Dakota. It's important to consider what this means. So the Sunday obligation, of course, is the way as Catholics we fulfill the third commandment to keep holy the Sabbath day by going and attending to the prayers of Holy Mass. And this is a binding obligation on all the faithful on pain of mortal sin unless they have a good reason to not go. Now, as a blanket decision, Bishop DeGrood back in March applied a good reason to everyone in eastern South Dakota. Because of the uncertainty of coronavirus, everyone had a good reason not to go. But now Bishop DeGrood is saying that for those of the faithful who are healthy and maybe not involved with someone who's at risk, that they should now be going to Mass again. Wanting to welcome everyone back to the holy sacrifice of the Mass and to help us and encourage us who might be afflicted by fear to challenge that fear with a faith-based courage, but also a reasonable courage. Now, Bishop DeGrood is still dispensing the faithful who the CDC would consider at risk of more severe effects of the coronavirus. You can check with your physician if you don't know whether or not those apply to you. Typically, they talk about being over the age of 65 or maybe some underlying health conditions. But again, you probably already know these things from your physician, and if not, contact them and let them clarify it for you, whether or not you're in that at-risk range. Or maybe because you work with those who are at risk. Well, those would be good reasons still not to go to Sunday Mass. The obligation to go to Sunday Mass has always been a matter of right reason. I'm new to you at Sacred Heart, but when I'd preach about this in my previous assignments, I would talk about how a 6-foot snowdrift, a broken femur, caring for a child who has no one else to care for them when they're sick. Those are all good reasons to not make the Sunday obligation. In fact, the Church even says that when it's impossible for you to fulfill the obligation doesn't bind you. Isn't that neat? It's not just that you're excused, it's that it doesn't bind you. So, Bishop DeGrood wants everyone to, as much as possible, to come back to Holy Mass, and thus he's reapplying the Sunday obligation. This will come in effect on Monday, August 17th, so you have some time still to prepare, to figure out before the next Sunday, which would apply to you, which would be the weekend of August 22nd and 23rd. If you haven't seen Bishop DeGrood's video, I tried to add a little pop-up thing up here with a link to that video so you can click on it and watch it. Very encouraging invitation from Bishop DeGrood. Here at Sacred Heart, we're going to do a few adaptations in the hope of maybe some more people coming back to Mass, but also wanting to be prudent about how we do it. And that's part of courage, by the way, right? Courage doesn't say ignore fear. Courage says have a right response to a fearful situation and to still endure in doing the good thing despite the fear. Right? Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is doing the right thing even in a fearful situation and having the right response to the fear. So in this situation, masks are very welcome. Masks are probably the simplest thing to do. I've got a brother who's a lung doctor in Omaha. He's worked with ICU patients and has been around a lot of very sick people. And he says masks are probably the simplest thing you can do. You're welcome to wear a mask. At the 5 p.m. Saturday, 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. on Sunday Masses, we're going to move communion back to its normal spot in Mass. which means that Father Kapperman and myself won't be wearing a mask. Masks are not a liturgical garment. Pope Francis could make an exception to that, but he hasn't yet. And so we won't wear a mask. The good news is the CDC says that close contact with someone with COVID is 15 minutes under 6 feet distance without a mask. And while I'm very pious and careful about how I administer to you Holy Communion, it doesn't take me 15 minutes. And so if you have to be within that close distance of me to receive communion, it won't be 15 minutes, it won't be a close contact. But if it would make you more comfortable, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to have extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion available. They will have a mask on. And all of us, the priests and the extraordinary ministers, will have hand sanitizer available for us in case we feel in the course of the communion rite we need to do that, to be careful. At the 7:30 a.m. Sunday Mass, we're going to be a little more careful. Really encourage masks at the 7:30 a.m. It's a lighter crowd, usually more space, and we'll reserve communion there for after Mass. Also at the 7:30 a.m. Sunday Mass, we won't have any congregational singing. We've had some light singing. So far, there won't be any at the 7:30 Mass. And that way, again, if you have a greater concern about these things, it should be a more comfortable environment for you. And we want you to be more comfortable in this difficult situation. Also remember, no matter what Mass you may go to, the Sunday obligation doesn't require you to receive Holy Communion. The Sunday obligation is there for you to take part in the one sacrifice of Christ by joining your own day in and day out experience of the Christian life to His holy sacrifice, but you don't have to receive Holy Communion at the Mass. You can make and pray a spiritual communion while remaining in your pews, but you don't have to go forward to receive communion if something causes you worry, whether because of your condition, someone else's condition, and things of that sort. Well, as it has been for 5 months, this is in a sense all new territory for us again. But I'm so grateful for your patience with myself and others. I'm so grateful for your considerateness to others as we continue to go forward. And keep Bishop DeGrood in your prayers as he leads the diocese in this time, and for every pastor, myself and others included. We might have to change this as we go forward, just as school districts starting school might have to make adaptations. So we too hope to go forward with our best effort, with courage against good reasons for fear and discarding bad reasons for fear, but in order to attain this good thing, a common life of prayer as much as we can, and to be able to go forward in this COVID corona time without a clear resolution in sight. I'm Father Andrew Dickinson, your pastor at Sacred Heart. God bless you.